Hello and welcome back, everyone. It's just another day in the life as a military wife, and I had a completely different show planned for you all today. I had the topic set up, I was ready to go, and then my news feed got filled with all of this month of the military child stuff. So we are going to purple up. It has been a while, years since we have covered this topic, and I'm going to do it in a different way because I ran into this book. It's a really great book called Be Safe, Love, Mom. It's written by a girl who was raised as a military kid and then became a mom to 4 military children. And we're not covering the book today. We'll get to the book another time. But she gave me some ideas of things I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to share them all with you today. As always, I'm your host, Sam Wolf, and you're listening to Life of a Military Wife. Okay, so we're going to take a slight detour here. Bear with me, it's not going to be long. But I'm the generation that grew up with Harry Potter, and I really enjoyed it growing up. I had lots of different favorite characters. I was particularly fond of Hermione. I always wanted to be that clever, but slightly have better social skills. Anyway, now that I'm a mom, I look at Harry Potter very differently. And that's largely because I recognize Mrs. Weasley. She is an unsung hero of Harry Potter. That woman sacrificed so much to make everything happen. And a lot of the key components that you get in the final Wizarding War to take down Voldemort are because she raised these fabulous children in a very chaotic and unpredictable time. And she was having kids in the middle of a war, and her siblings were out fighting in the Wizarding War. And I know it's not real, it's not a real war, but she shows so much resilience and courage and invests so much in her children. And I just absolutely love that. Because resilience is a key with military children and with any kids, but specifically military children, they go through so much. And as y'all know, I am a mom of 4. I've got amazing children, and 3 of them were born while we were military. Our oldest was born before my husband joined. Um, so lots of interesting experiences have happened with that. And it's just one of those things. Military kids have a completely different life than other kids. And whether you are just somebody who is clicking on this and interested about the military community and the military experience, or you are a mom in the military with kiddos and you're trying to navigate the difficulties of military life and helping your children be resilient and grow and develop with all of the ness that comes with it. I want this episode to be full of information as well as resources and insight that can help out. And you might wonder why, if you're not familiar with the military community, why I picked now. April is the month of the military child. And the color that represents military children is purple, and the flower is a dandelion. And partly because a dandelion can grow anywhere, and they are a very resilient flower. My kids love dandelions. They like blowing on them and watching them little floataways. But it's true. Our kids are resilient, but they do need support and love and encouragement. And that's where we come in as a military community, as their families, and as their mothers. We have a lot that we can do to help them out with what they face. So let's just go over some basics on military kids and numbers and whatnot. There is approximately between 1.7 million and 2 million children in the United States who have at least one parent currently serving in the military, whether they are active duty, guard, or reserve. Now, when you add kids whose parents are currently veterans, but they were in the military not too long ago, those numbers skyrocket even further. And now, just to picture this, because That is a big number, and oftentimes we have a hard time visualizing it. That number of children could fill Madison Square Garden almost 85 times. That's a lot of children, and they're spread all over the world. Now, luckily, in some cases, they do have a support system in their community at their base with other children, but oftentimes, at least I know with our kids, they will have cousins who don't completely understand or friends who don't always understand what they're going through. And so the more we can just be aware of the unique difficulties that come with being a military child and be supportive and help them see the good and the excitement in their unique experiences and opportunities, the better off it's going to be. And so that's kind of where I want to go. I want to be giving you like ideas and suggestions and just help with this. Okay, age breakdown. Now that I'm, getting a little sidetracked even as I'm talking. But 40% of those kids that we talked about, the 1.7 million to 2 million children, are under the age of 5. 35% are between the ages of 6 and 11, and 25% are 12 to 18. Majority are younger because parents tend to get in and they're in for a while and they get out before their kids get older, whether that's through retirement, medical discharge, or just separation because they're moving on to another chapter in their life. That's just how it is. So there is a lot of babies born in the military every single day. And I've had a child before as a civilian, and then I've had 3 children in military hospitals, in 2 different military hospitals, but they come from lots of different backgrounds. That's the thing. The US military is a very unique body of people. We've got individuals from lots of different ethnicities, cultures, all different states. The United States is a really just melting pot of cultures in and of itself when it comes to the different state cultures. And so inside the military, you'll get like, I'm an Arizonan, and I'll tell you that straight up. I'm an Arizonan. I'm a desert rat. I like my heat. I hate the cold. But one of my best friends is an Alaskan. And her and I would go back and forth all the time about the pros and cons of the desert versus, Alaska and all that. And we just have a great time razzing each other. And the kids do that too. And that goes into the whole like, where is home thing. My kids, it's going to be so interesting when they get to be adults and someone asks them where they're from, because my husband and I were both raised in Arizona. And I lived a little bit in New Jersey and Utah before we joined the military. We had kids while stationed in 2 different states. Some of our kids were actually born in a state they never lived in. So I have no idea what they're going to tell people. And that's what this one woman who wrote the book I was telling you about said, is that whenever people asked her where she was from, she would always claim the state where her mother was born because that's what her mother called home. But we have the same issue with our kids. We're kind of from everywhere. And, that's not a bad thing. And my kids have gotten to experience a lot of different things and had opportunities that they wouldn't have if we had never been in the military. And so there's definite ups and downs. Now, deployments and separations. Kids go through this a lot in the military, and they focus largely on deployments, but there is so many other times that parents get sent away, whether it's TDY, which is for a temporary duty station change. So it's like basically going away for a training. Um, so they can be gone sometimes from 4 days to a couple weeks to a month to a couple months and even longer. And then there's something that goes all the way into a hardship tour. Now, most deployments aren't as long as hardship tours anymore. They tend to be about 9 months. Hardship tours are about a year. And a hardship tour is when your military service member is sent to a duty station, and for lots of different reasons, you're not able to accompany them. So I've mentioned this in the past. My husband was stationed in Egypt And we weren't able to accompany because it was 12 miles from the Gaza border. And so that happens. And then the other thing is when you live in all these different cultures, you can get all of these different experiences. So it can be hard, all these changes, but my kids have been able to see and do so many incredible things. And my husband's gotten to see and do lots of amazing things. And so our family culture is so much more rich because we've been in the military. And helping the kids see those things is important. Now, military families typically move every 1 to 3 years, depending on the military service branch and what the person's job is and their rank. It varies widely. And if you're in the military, you completely understand that. The other thing that it's important to grasp is that special needs are a thing. So, Exceptional Family Member Program, or the EFMP, is been designed to help families with special needs. Around 10 to 15% of kids are enrolled in these programs, and they have lots of different special medical needs. Sometimes it's things like ADHD, Down syndrome, they're hearing impaired, lots and lots of different reasons why you might qualify for EFMP. And our family has interacted with the EFMP program now for about 8 years. And they do a lot of really great and wonderful projects and really do genuinely care about getting the information families with special needs need at every duty station. They also help make sure that you're not assigned to a duty station that would not meet your family's needs. For example, I've known women who were expecting and also high risk who they were able to get the next duty station changed because of their pregnancy and they needed specific resources for that baby and that pregnancy. Or if the schools or the infrastructure has the assistance they're going to need with their child's medical needs. So, EFMP is definitely something that is to take into, just be aware of. And the military community, especially if you're working with military kids and you're not a part of the military community, understanding and accepting that there's going to be a lot of kids, not a lot, but a good amount of kids with special needs, that above and beyond the challenges that normal military families face. There are some gaps in these things, and there are waiting lists, and it's difficult. So if you are new to the military game, please reach out to local EFMP at your military hospital and get into the program, get asking questions, ask your PCM, your medical provider. Just ask questions, get on the spouses forum, find resources, but be proactive so that you can help your kid find what they need. And it really is just an amazing program. I've seen them do some really great things for these kids, and that's so important for them to understand that they're loved and appreciated, and you're not alone. You're not alone. There's tons of resources out there. So the other thing is deployments and separations. And I've covered this in the past. I'm going to cover it again. This is a topic we are going to hit every single time we can because there's always new resources and new benefits and different things you can think about. But if you have a military kid or if you are working with military kids, just understand that those separations are really different depending on the age of the kid and the frequency in which they've had to deal with these separations. And every kid's going to handle it differently. And just because something worked last time doesn't mean it's going to work this time, and that's okay. Understanding and accepting that things change is important. But there are a lot of really great books and resources out there. Military OneSource had a lot of good stuff out there. You can even just find some great books on Amazon. I really have loved so my kids had to deal with daddy being gone a lot when they were really, really young. And there's a book called Over There. It's a picture book. It's a board book. You can get it free from ACS, Army Community Services, and probably other places. It is a fabulous resource for really little kids. Every single one of my kids has loved that book when they were toddler, really young. Now that they're older, we have other ones like Paper Hug, or we've got books for slightly older kids. And just as they get older, there's going to be more resources out there. But if you're dealing with really little kids, like I said, the younger than 6, that 40% over there is just a fabulous resource for helping them understand those separations, and that there's a lot of emotions and different things going on, and it's going to be okay. Um, Other thing that you can do is there's these daddy dolls, and I don't really know how to get them straight up. I've heard lots of different things, but basically they're a little doll, and you can put your soldier's picture in there where the face goes. So the doll looks kind of like their daddy. And there's other types of daddy dolls or teddy bears or whatever you can get from the VFW and the Foreign Legion and lots of different organizations, just for them to have something to hug and snuggle while their dad is gone. And that is just a huge thing my kids have appreciated, is having something from daddy or that reminds them of a daddy that they can snuggle when they miss him. And again, I'm talking about little kids because, I've got little kids and I've dealt with that with a lot with the little kids. I'm getting into the older kid stage. So I'm learning how to work on the older kid stage separation stuff. And that really, I feel like, is a lot of communication with that. And then the other thing is, with all of these things moving, you move so many times, it's just so much. And I mentioned that before. So you're always having to relocate, and having things that you can have that stay the same, things that are similar, keeping routines as much as possible, or us, church is a constant. No matter where we go, we can always find a congregation of our church, and the programs for the kids are the same from one location to another. So they have that stability in church, and they can build those friendships and meet kids their age pretty quickly. And that has been a huge blessing for us. And if you don't have that, finding another thing, maybe it's the library, getting involved with the military library with their story times or their activities, or the USO does a lot of really great stuff. We've loved working with the USO as well. The Chaplains Association, if you can find a vacation Bible school in the summer, those are always really great. We've done one of those on post before, and my kids love that. So there's lots of different resources you can use to help your kids with moves and with deployments and all of those things. But here's some organizations that I've found helpful. Like I said, Military OneSource has a lot of great relocation and school supports, counseling, just helps you find a lot of stuff. And Operation Kids Comfort is really great for deployments, getting those like free quilts and pillows and stuff. Focus, which is families come overcoming under stress, also's got good stuff. But yeah, just get them involved in things. That's going to make a huge difference for them. And in the long run, it is what it is. Like, these kids are amazing. And we have had, like I said, we've gotten to go see um, Washington, D.C. with our kids. We've gone to go see lots of different museums and forts and historical sites. Play tourist. Play tourist and have fun. Let your kids explore and enjoy this place that they're going to live. We loved, when we lived in Kentucky, being near the Amish community, and we'd go to the Amish bakery and store and get stuff, and we'd go to the farmers markets and just enjoy the countryside. We went to Land Between the Lakes and went to an old 1800s little village thing they had there. Like I said, we've been to Washington, D.C. with the kids when we were doing, traveling to pick daddy up from a military thing. Just lots of different places. And when you go to see family, stopping on the way to see something else that's fun. We've traveled the Oregon Trail with our kids because we were out living back east, and we were coming west to go see family for the summer. And so we planned extra time to actually use the Oregon Trail and stop at like Chimney Rock and different places. There is so many ways you can make military life amazing and fun and engaging for military children. And I am so grateful for the blessing I have of raising 4 wonderful military kids and getting to work with kids in the military community all the time. And there are definite ups and downs. There are definite struggles, but there's also a lot of really great, wonderful moments and wonderful people and resources. April is the month of the military child. So let's purple it up. Let's celebrate these kids. Let's help them understand the good that can come into their lives from these amazing experiences of being able to live in all these different places. And then also, let's support them and love them and encourage them when they're struggling with the challenges that come as being a military child, because it's not always easy. And especially as they get older and they're more and more aware of what's going on in the world, it can get unsettling or even more stressful. And having those conversations and open relationships is super important. So that's where I'm going to leave it for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some information out of it. I am lining up lots of interviews. There's a lot of really great stuff coming, and it's been a little crazy. Spring break is over, so hopefully I'm going to get back into a rhythm. I keep saying that, but I don't know if I'll ever get back into a rhythm. Life just keeps getting crazy, and yeah, baby wolf, she is toddler wolf now, and she is just toddlering above all toddlerness. So that is definitely impacting how much work I am getting done. And that's fine because I love my kids. And part of why I do what I do is so that I can be home with my kids as much as I possibly can, so that I can be that stable, consistent thing in their lives when everything else goes and changes on them. That said, please share this out with anybody you know who's got a military kid who could use some of these resources. I hope you find the resources that I talked about or some of the information I shared helpful. And if you know anyone who is a veteran or a military spouse or has a resource for the military community that would love to be interviewed and shared on this podcast, please feel free, reach out, let me know. I want to help bring those resources to all of you and all my amazing listeners. Thank you all for your support and encouragement. I am so grateful for the feedback I get. And like always, let's click it and stick it to the algorithm. Please like, subscribe, share. Let's get that algorithm working so we can get this information and just build this community and this support system for everyone. Last but not least, let's be the good we want to see in the world. I'm your host, Sam Wolf, and you've been listening to Life of a Military Wife.